Too hot from offenders.
Yep.
Okay. Hi guys. It's us, the Pearly Shell Pirates, and we're totally like crazying. Here, I'm gonna pour this in. I'm gonna need more hot water, Heather.
I know. I brought out here because I knew we need more hot water.
Okay.
Okay, it's the easy thing. Oh, good. People are getting their boxes. That's exciting. We did really good there. Oops, sorry, Jack.
Okay, so this is not hot. This is like lukewarm. And I'm going to start with, we're making hot water, but hot enough that I can touch it versus not touch it. Because I don't like burning my fingers. And generally speaking, you don't need the water to be boiling on wool unless you are washing. Mohair is completely different. Mohair has wax on it. Lanolin is not a wax, it's actually an oil. And if you can't get the oil off, you're gonna do a second wash with the shampoo, not the hot water. I don't know. You can wash with cold. I know that. So, okay, we're gonna start with a few things with okay, I totally pick my cuticles when I'm stressed. So, that leaves an open wound on my hands, which means I definitely need to make sure my tetanus shot is up to date because this is an open entry point in my skin, and which my tetanus is up, is current, not up. It is current, so I'm good. But something to keep in check for you guys too. Where I start is on my fleece. So, dirty wool. We all dig it. This is a Lincoln Lamb fleece. I am going to open my fleece up and I will sort it. Okay? And I will pull out all of these little waxy armpit bits. This is not poop. Kind of looks like poop. It's black. It's brown. It's definitely gross. It's the armpit. This one smells. It's strong smelling fleece. So it's probably young ram. These pieces, they don't go, like one of these things is not like the other. They'll go down in the pile on the ground. Not the end of the world, because when we skirt a fleece, what we skirt out, if you purchase a whole fleece versus a skirted fleece, you will get all of these lovely pieces that are not like the others. Like this is breech, which is their pants per se. And you can see this lock structure is not the same. It's not prime lock structure. It's it looks like it's been sat on a lot, which it has. And it's kind of really greasy and maybe it's been peed on. I don't know. It's grody. So that's going down there. So you're going to go through and you'll do that with your own fleece. And you're going to pick out, the best bits. This fleece I've already fully skirted. And this is, the best bits are in a bag ready to go to the mill. I'm pulling the best of the skirtings for this demo. So you can see it's a little cotted, which is just lightly felted. Still pulls apart, therefore it is completely usable. If you can pull the locks apart, it's still usable. So I'm going to take this fleece. I got a handful. I got my mixing bowl. In my case, it's a fish bowl, so you guys can see the dirt. I am going to pour, this is just a little this side of Tempet. It's not cold, not hot. We'll pour that in there. I always do cold water soak first because sheep's wool has a whole lot more to it than lanolin. I put my fleece in, I squeeze the water through it. I'm not rubbing. don't do this. We don't stir in a circle and stir back in a circle. We poke. We can poke it down. We can squeeze the water through it. As you can see, I don't even have soap in here yet. This is cold water, guys. Look at how much is coming out. This cold water soak, you can soak overnight. You can soak just for a little bit. I'm gonna soak until I have hot water again. When Heather comes out here with my pot of hot water. And it's just, all this dirt comes out in the first wash. This is without me even adding soap, guys. This saves me soap. This saves me heat. This saves me so many steps. So here I am, just smelly. And this is Lincoln Lamb locks. And I don't use a bag. I just toss them in there. Because when they are done, when they dry, they still retain lock structure. So, as soon as, Heather, are we hot yet? Okay, almost have hot water. We just, here at the shop, we don't actually have a hot water heater, so we have a hot kettle that we use. But just kind of, look how dirty this has gotten in just this little bit, okay? Like I said, this is a little cooler than body temperature. So it's like cold water soak. I can totally feel all of the oils on my fingers. You can see it's a little milky. That is the oils coming off. There's more than one oil that sheep's fleece has. I'm gonna pour it in here.
Yep. I'll make you more.
And then make me more.
Yep. We have no hot water at the shop.
I was just telling them that. No hot water at the shop. It's like a scarce commodity. But I was also telling them, with these soaps, you don't necessarily have to use hot water.
No.
My favorite demo I have seen was done in a wash rack with, we're using Power Scour today, but they were using Dirty Rotten Bastard, which is from Namaste Farms. Oh, see, my sweater's done. I finished it, except for the strings are still on. I know, totally cat attractors is what Heather says. So the best, it was from Namaste Farms, the Dirty Rotten Bastard. I saw it washed on mohair, cold water in a wash rack at a fairgrounds. And he used a liberal amount of soap, like we would wash our own hair, but with cold water. And it stripped that fiber of the wax that mohair has. And it left it still soft and silky. Didn't blow the cuticle out on it. Because interestingly enough, what do I do with my dirty water? I'll get right there as soon as I go to dump it. Interestingly enough, we found this when we were following up on a book that Heather had read as a child called The Golden Lamb. And it's actually a phenomenon that happens in merinos in Australia, New Zealand, and they are born with no crimp structure and yellow hair, like golden colored. And it's yellow wool with no crimp, and it is under a microscope almost identical to human hair. So that got us doing, and the wool industry has done a lot of study on this. And if that is almost identical to human hair, then, you know, regular wool can't be that much different besides crimp structure. So when we are washing our wool, we need to make sure that we take care of our wool the same way we take care of our hair. I know my hair won't do dish detergents because it would blow the cuticle out. When I say the cuticle, everybody, if you don't remember it, there is a Pantene Pro V commercial out there that shows the cuticle on a hair the scales on the hair. Go watch it because it shows blown cuticles and smooth cuticles. And we are trying to keep the cuticles on our wool smooth. It already blows out slightly, but we don't want to blow it completely out. All right, so one more thing of hot water and then we'll be done. When I am done with my dirty water, the reason why I use a bowl, and I do this at home too, is there's oil in this and a large amount of dirt. Dirt and oil sticks to the inside of our pipes. It's also not real great for our septic systems, those of us who are on a septic. There are those that are on city, which is great, but if you are on city sewer, you're paying for every gallon that goes down your drain too. So I recommend that our dirty wool water not go down our drains. The other side effect to washing, say, in your bathtub is you really need to scour your tub after you wash, or the other people you live with, or even yourself, the next morning will step in and potentially break their neck because it leaves the surface really slippery. So here is my cold water soaked wool. As you can see, this is my before. And look, this is just cold water, no soap. No soap. So I'm just gonna leave that there on my shelf and I'm gonna run this over to the planter because all this is sheep dirt and oil. And my plants don't care. Now I'm gonna add the instructions is a half of a tablespoon, so a teaspoon and a half of power scour to a gallon of water. So that's, splurt. It's a splurt amount. The dogs just opened the gate like brats. It's okay, nobody's here at the court. So now I have hot soapy water. You can see it's all mixed up. And now I'm going to place my dirty wool into it. My dirty pre-soaked wool. Because I pre-soaked it, it's going to take on the water a whole lot more than had it just been dry. I'm going to bring this closer to you. See how it's milky? Get it there? That milky water is oil in your water. So I'm just going to swish it through here. I do not ever want this to cool. Okay? Because if power scour instructions say to leave it in here for 20 minutes, says do not rub or agitate the wool. Soak for 15 minutes. Okay. I'm going to tell you, don't soak it for 15 minutes. Your water will cool off too much. And if your lanolin redeposits, it gets really, really hard. Right, Heather?
Yes.
Oh, don't pour it in there. We're going to,
Okay.
we're going to pull this out and we're going to pour this in the bucket.
Okay.
Here, hold that into warm hands. Okay, we're doing this outside, and last time I did this outside at this temperature, I felt the fiber.
It's really cold here today.
It is really
Okay,
cold.
it's not cold compared to, most places.
Okay,
It's cold for us.
it's cold for us. Okay, so hot water.
And you can go cooler to hotter to hotter. It is when you go
Hot to cold.
that you have an issue.
Okay, and then this is really hot.
It is really hot.
Really hot, like I can't handle it. So I'm just going to swish it around because that's the closest I can come. And it's still getting a little milky. because this is a long wool, I am going to be okay with this the way it is. And this will be my only wash and rinse. And if I could pull out a lock.
Here.
Can you do it?
Yep.
My fingers are still raw. Okay, a lock, wet. Squeeze it out. Okay, so, and I'll lock up the dirty wool. Show you guys. Like that was all there was to it. And our wool is everything. It's washed. It's just not dry yet. See the difference?
And if you wanted this to do it one more time and get all the lanolin out, but remember lanolin helps you spin too. It's not bad.
It is. Lanolin.
To leave a little tiny bit of
No,
lanolin in
and
your
if
wool.
you have if you want to spin something in the grease, but don't totally want to gum up your wheel and make it totally disgusting, you can just do the cold water soak and get the farm off your wool versus the not farm. If I'm doing in the whole, could I briefly run it through your order of operations? Okay, 1 handful. Actually, if I was doing a whole fleece, okay, when I wash wool, my biggest consideration is my space to dry it. I can wash 4 times the amount of wool that I have drying space for. So I only wash how much will fit in my drying racks, okay? So I pull out that much wool. Say I can wash half a fleece, okay? 4 pounds. All right, so it's okay to leave lanolin on, totally. So then I have my 4 pounds pulled aside. I can take my 4 pounds and put it in my cold water soak and just let it soak. And then I wash handful by handful. It's hot water soap. I don't let it cool. Hot water rinse. I squeeze it out in between. I don't twist. I don't roll. And then when I'm done, which I don't have here at the shop, I'm going to lay it out here to dry. But I will then take it and I will roll it in a towel, like a big bath towel. I have dog towels. I quote unquote dog towels. They're the not good towels for the bathroom, you know, the one the edges start to fray and stuff. And you buy new towels, you have the old towels, which are then, I don't know, rag towels or sheep towels or whatever you use leftover older towels for. I lay my wool out on it. I take it and see if I can get my fingers in here yet. Hot. I'm going to dump this real quick. And I then I roll my wool in the towel, squeeze it, and then car towels, yes. And then I squeeze it out through the towel, and then I take it and I lay it in my drying rack. Leave it. Ruben, the gate blew open again and he's looking at it. I then bad gate day. I then fluff them up and I have a hanging, it's called an herb drying rack from Amazon, and it's round and it has hoops and it folds up flat and small, but it hangs and then it has zippers for the sections, and I section my fleece out and I fluff it. So if I take this wet fleece here, I'll show you what I mean by fluff. I have found a salad spinner, I cannot get it to spin fast enough to dry it as well as a towel does.
Show them something.
I do have, though, if you are doing a large amount of fleeces, like this is your jam, you are totally doing all the fleeces in the world, we have
a secret.
A secret.
Okay, it's not really
tool.
a secret. Okay. So this
is a tiny washing machine.
tiny washing machine. Not really, kind of.
Well, yeah, it is.
So it has a wash cycle
Uh-huh.
and a spinner.
Yep.
I have one of these at home. This one stays here. Everything that I ever dye gets spun out. But I can also wash wool in it. So if I'm doing locks, I can fill this up.
Hot water.
Hot water.
Soap.
Put your stuff in there. I agitate it for like 0.2 seconds. I turn it on, turn it off, because it spins it.
Mm-hmm.
Drain it out, repeat.
With
and
the
then
rinse.
we can spin it. If we spin wool in this, it is dry the next day, even with our humidity.
Yes. So, when I say fluff, even when we do it this way,
Yep.
it comes out compacted, flat. Kind of looks like this. It's ugly. Looks like you felted it. You just pull it apart, put some air in it, and you leave it fluffed on your drying rack. Just kind of, I lay it out really thin, like so. It's like, I know, it's not even like exciting. And that's how I wash wool. It's like quick, dirty, in and out. And to be honest, this is really freaking clean. Like really freaking clean. If you have shied away from Power Scour because of the scent, there is also an unscented variety of this. I will say, this is really an interesting wash. Our mill uses Power Scour, don't they?
Yeah.
And they have researched all kinds of scours to use as a mill and be ecologically sound, because they have to get they have to dispose of their water. And what they do is they run their water across their pastures for fertilizer, because that's a lot of barnyard. But they can't be running harsh chemicals across their pastures and stuff either. So they found Power Scour is environmentally sound to use the drain water, which is awesome. As far as smelly ram, I have not found a ram yet that is really offensive. I will say that this fleece that I just washed was really offensive. Really, 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 really offensive. Like I brought it outside after I opened it up today to take pictures of the locks, and I skirted it immediately because when I opened the bag, I went, oh, wow, this one is ripe. And I handle a lot of wool, and it's very rarely that I find sheep wool offensive. This sheep was funky, really funky. And it's delightful now. There's no remaining odor at all. If you do find that you have remaining odor on the sheep's wool after you have scoured it, I would say do a vinegar rinse and wait until it's dry. Rinse it with vinegar and water, and wait till it's dry, and don't judge it until it's dry. And anything that is funkier than that, I'm going to be honest, I send to the mill. We have sent buck goat to the mill. I don't have the tools in my tool belt to handle truly, truly funky fleeces like buck goat. Our mill uses Orvis and Simple Green and even like some other crazy stuff on buck goat. If it's a ram, I don't suggest washing it more than once. Seriously, it is, and I think this was a ewe that was really funky. Any fleece can be really funky. It doesn't matter sex, really. I wash it once and I wait and see, because I can always wash it a second time later if it's still funky. The key is to skirt out the funky bits. The funky bits on a ram is only going to be on the belly, because they, their unit is on their belly and they pee straight down. Sheep do not pee on themselves like goats do. Goats literally pee on themselves. Sheep don't. They get a little slightly stronger smell in the wool, but really overall, I think most sheep smell about the same. And that's going shearing, and that's being around rams. That's from owning rams. I've smelt ewes that smell just as bad as a ram does. And sometimes worse, because when they pee, they squat and they pee down their entire britch in their hind end. And it's normally urine that is funky. So you got to skirt your fleece first. Oh, your locks had really strong disinfectant smell? Ew. If your wool smells like ammonia, okay, I'm going to flat out tell you guys this. So we work with Columbia Scouring, which is the buy-sell department of Pendleton Wool. We sometimes sell fiber to them. We visit with them, all kinds of stuff. And when it's really rainy out, Alan there was telling me this story. My hair's all over the place. Telling me a story about how he walked in one day and it was mystery, find the rotting bale of wool. Because when wool starts to rot, it smells and it can catch on fire. Wet wool can catch on fire. And when it starts to rot from being wet, it will smell like ammonia. Like, I don't know. Can you describe?
It's like cat.
It is like,
It's different than cat.
it's not quite cat pee ammonia, but it's funky. It is the funkiest of the funky.
And it does smell like disinfectant, kind of.
It does kind of have a disinfectant smell, so you got to watch that. And that's why it's really important to get our wool dry, because we don't want it to break down. And when things break down and start to compost, they create heat. So that's another reason to go through and skirt your fleeces. And we don't want bits like this. Those are the icky bits. This is the part that's funky. Okay? Really funky. Like, that's also not poop. Just so you know. This is not poop either. It's greasy, gross. There's a little bit of poop, but it's gross. And it's a little damp. And it's funky. So that's the other thing, is you got to go through, you got to check your fleeces for those funky bits. And like I said, I think this is a ewe, not a ram. And it's one of the stinkier fleeces I've had. So yeah, not saying that it's a bad fleece by any stretch of the imagination. I got nearly 3 pounds out of a lamb fleece after skirting, and it's phenomenal. I mean, come on guys, look how white this is. It's going to be so pretty, spun up. And for Lincoln, it's like really silky and shiny. And for it to go from this, to this, after it was this is a huge difference, guys. Yes, armpits can be tender underneath of the oil. I will sometimes do the work to get rid of the grease on some of them if it's just a little bit. But if they're totally caked, I just toss them. They work great in my compost. It's like all garden stuff. All garden stuff. So it works great in the garden to hold moisture. It's more fertilizer. It breaks down. It's really high in nitrogen because that's what it is. Yes, it's sweat that's trapped in the fibers. Yes. You have to do that. Part of washing out the sweat and the salts is what I do in that first, when you saw in the beginning, that cold water soak and all that dirt came out. That was the sweat. That was like the first layer I was getting rid of, was the sweat and the gross stuff before the lanolin. I will say, because the next question is, have you ever done a suet wash? I'm sorry. I am strongly opposed to anything that smells like death. And it smells like death. And if I can get the same effect in 20 minutes, why am I going to wait for 3 days and have my wool smell like death and still have to wash it? Because you still have to wash it after it's sat there for a week and got funky. So there you go. That's my, in an afternoon, you can wash a fleece if you have the drying space. When I used to live on the dry side of the state, I could wash 3 fleeces a day using this method and have them all dry by bedtime. But now that I live on the rainy side, it doesn't work quite the same way. It takes me about 24 hours to get something dry. Any more questions? You get it totally. Yeah. I'm not into funky smelling wool. I'm not going to make it funkier than it already is. Heather, did I cover everything?
I think you're good.
All right. Okay, guys, I'm going to let you go. If you missed the beginning, watch it from the beginning. It's a little chaotic, but that's kind of how washing fleece ends up being sometimes. And remember the steps. Cold water soak to get the sweat out. Then hot with soap. And then hot for rinse. We only poke. We don't swirl or stir. And we don't wring. We just squeeze when we go to dry. So have you guys have a great day. And small batches. Totally. Then you know when you've screwed up before you've screwed up a whole fleece. You could just rinse those locks that smell like disinfectant. Totally. There's no reason why you can't do a couple glugs of vinegar and some rinse water. It could even be cold. You don't have to use the heat for anything. Just glug of vinegar. Rinse them. See what you get out of it. A little vinegar rinse won't hurt anything. Alrighty, guys. Have a wonderful day and happy wool washing. Bye.